What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Real, the Ratchet, and the Reckless. I'm your host, Nessa Nandez. What is good? I'm always excited when I have guests and people that I can interview. You guys get a little taste of my community and where I come from and the people that are just trying to do what we've been doing. Today's guest has been doing his dreams for a very long time, and I'm more than happy to introduce my guest here today, Eric Walker, also known as King Create on Instagram. He is a graphic designer, art instructor, and a motivational speaker. What's up? How are you, Mr. Walker?
What up? What up? What's up? How you doing?
I'm doing really good. I want to thank you for coming on. It means a lot. Also the fact that like I told you, when we want to make things happen, we write them down. But we have a lot of, as creators, I feel sometimes we have so much going on that it's so hard to keep track of what we want to do because we want to do everything sometimes or get shit done.
Right.
But I really do appreciate that I ran into you. I approached you when I saw you. We'll let the listeners know of our story, but I'm happy how persistent you were about it. Like, let's make this interview happen. And I want to thank you for that. So welcome to my podcast. And let's just jump right in and let people know how we know each other. And I'll say a little bit and then you can tell me if you remember anything. So guys, if you guys didn't know, I did work with kids a while ago, and it was one of my favorite jobs. I used to work for an after-school program called LA's Best. And the reason why it was so easy for me to just do it was because my family was doing it, and one of my family members is still doing it. And my mom was actually almost like an arts and crafts staff at Los Angeles Elementary. And I remember that sometimes, when we were so young, we couldn't just stay at home. She would bring us along to work. And also she wanted us to be involved with her stuff and just be involved in school. She would bring us to Los Angeles Elementary. And that's where I met Mr. Walker. I was probably like 8, 9 years old. And I clearly remember your style, everything you look like. I remember you used to take your daughter with you because we were around the same age. I know she was younger than me. Everybody wanted to join your club. Like, I clearly remember that. And I clearly remember my mom just being so like moved by you because, like I mentioned, my mom till this day kind of paints just like a hobby, but she's really artsy. And I know that she appreciated you because she saw how much you cared about your work, and she was the same way. She wasn't going to do no half-ass job, and she cared about the kids, and she loved that about you. And I'll never forget you. And I ran into you like a few years ago. I was serving at the Cheesecake Factory, and I was like, I know him. And I went up to you, and I don't know, did you remember me, or you were like, what the hell?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I ain't gonna front.
You have a lot of kids.
Ain't
Like
front.
kids.
Yeah, I deal with so many different people throughout a period of time. I didn't remember you until you told me who you were, and when you said, Elsie was your mom, then that's when I was like, oh, okay. Then I remember you, your brother. You know what I'm saying, and y'all, and it was a pleasure to see you because I run into you, man. Truth be told, I didn't run into. I ain't gonna say a lot of my students, but from that time, from way back then, all the way into now, every blue moon, I run into a few students that went to the school, and even other programs I taught at, and people got hair on their face now, and people are like,
people got kids now. You're like,
it's a trip. Check this one out. One of the students, he got his own company now. He do a T-shirt line, and he was walking in the area one day in the little business area, and I was walking and he said my name, and I turned around and I looked at him, and I was like, he said, hey, you remember me? And I was like, from where? And he told me his name. He said, I was one of your students in LA Best at LA Elementary. I was like, oh, and he got real tall, and I was like, oh, what's up, man?
Nice.
I was very impressed. He told me he's doing good with his business, and that's what he do. He said that he had to believe in himself, and he told me, he said, thank you so much, man, for working with me as a young kid, and thanks for believing in me. And that touched my heart because I was like, wow, look what I planted a seed in him to a degree. I planted a seed in him, and look what he's doing now. He's doing good.
It's crazy. It's like you as obviously an idol to other people, and like you said, someone that pushed and planted that seed. Sometimes people don't understand, especially when you're working with kids, like how much they look up to you. And to me, like, because when I was working there, I was like, I'm just some random ass girl. I did like working with the kids, and I was doing random ass shit on the weekend being crazy. But the way the kids look up to you is crazy. And you hearing that when they come up to you, it's like, dang, like people don't understand what an impact we have on these kids when we work with them and stuff like that. And even me as a student and a child that was there, for me to even be like Eric Walker, Mr. Walker, like I didn't forget that. I didn't forget your name. Didn't forget what you do and what you do. So let's just jump into that. Please,
Okay.
your art is amazing. Your art is unforgettable. Your art is authentic. You know what it is. So we're gonna just jump right in. And just let
Okay.
me know a little bit.
Yeah, I come from South Central Los Angeles.
Hey, let me give you a horn.
You know, I was blessed to grow up in the home with my mother and my father as a young kid, growing up in the hood, South Central LA. And, you know, around that time, there was a lot of family that still sort of had the mother and father in the home, barely hanging by a thin string. A lot of local South Central families. Uh, so I was privileged and blessed to be in the home with my both of them. But that being said, it's for a reason. Is because my mom always made for sure that me and my sister didn't just sit around all day and watch TV in the summertime. She always made for sure we did something constructive with our time. She always made for sure that we wasn't glued to the TV. And so she always gave us like challenges to do, like, hey, paint me a picture. I give you a quarter. I give you $1. This as a little kid. Or,
Mhm.
you know, I'll buy you your favorite, whatever, whatever. And I was like, oh, okay. So I used to do that. And then as I got older, by the time I was 9 years old, you know, growing up in the neighborhood, I used to look at the gang writing on the wall. Now, when I say that, the gang writing back then was totally different from a lot of the gang writing we see on the wall today. It was very
Oh yeah,
organized, very structured, very clean. That
they had
sounds pretty
time.
weird. Yeah,
No,
that sounds
yeah.
yes, it sounds weird for a lot of people that never seen it, but I was like witnessing it firsthand. Like, you know, like even though it was wrong that they was writing on the wall, but it looked so clean and so good back then that I used to try to copy it, and that's what grabbed my interest in doing what I do. It was some of that, and then when I started seeing the New York subway style of art, then I got into that, and I took it to another level. As far as me starting into a business, uh, I want to, before I even say that, my mom wasn't really never into what I was doing. She didn't like to see me do graffiti art. She felt like it wasn't a natural art
Negative.
form.
Yeah, and it was
My,
looked at as negative.
it was negative. Then my father, he didn't look at it as negative. He embraced it with me. He was like, hey, son, I don't mind if you do it, but just don't be writing on people's walls like, uh, he would take me to go buy the materials. He would take me to the places
Right.
and go watch me paint, you know, just to make for sure everything was good. So I appreciate him for that. But I also appreciate my mom for when I was young that she would take me to different places that would try to help nurture my art skills. Like we would go to Disneyland and I would sit down and watch the people who would do cartoons of people, and I would like sit there and watch them do that. Or my mom would take me to different art colleges and like take me to go meet the counselors and sit there and see about the programs. And you know, so it was two different levels. My father, he supported the graffiti art. My mom didn't like it, but she still supported me in the arts. So somehow both of them came together on that level. And my teachers, they was against it. A lot of my teachers, I ain't gonna say all of them, but a lot of my teachers was against it. They used to tell me to stop doing it, put it away. They said that if I do it, I would end up in jail, I would end up dead or in a gang.
Right.
And they didn't understand. And it was very discouraging. But I'm glad that I'm talking about that because now, for all you listeners out there, I want y'all to hear this. When my teachers told me that I wasn't going to be anything if I kept doing it and to put it away, what if I would have listened to them? I was like real young, 9 years old, like 13, 14, you know, all the way to high school. You know, my teacher used to tell me, hey, I know you love art, but this is not going to get you to where you need to be. Put that away. And I was so determined that I was always, I would say slightly rebellious, but in a good way. I was like, man, I ain't caring about what they talking
Yeah.
about. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And I kept doing it. One of my teachers took one of my drawings one day and stood in front of me and tore my paper into little tiny shreds and dropped it in front of my face in front of the whole classroom. and everybody in the classroom started laughing, and she whispered something negative in my ear, and she walked away. And I'll never forget, I sat in my chair that whole period. And I didn't even do no more work. I had a blank stare on my face, and I just kept looking at her like, man, you gonna pay for that. I said to myself, like, man, why? But guess what? That turning point could have been a negative for me. I could have cried and said, I'm not going to do this no more.
Yeah.
But because of my attitude back then, I was like, man, I'm going to prove to her, the teacher, or any other teachers, my mom, that I will be somebody. And guess what? From that day forward,
Yeah.
I became somebody because I was determined. I was passionate about what I was doing. I had ambition. I set goals for myself. And it wasn't easy all the way through. I'm not going to sit here and make it like it was a piece of cake. And to this day, sometimes I'm faced with obstacles and challenges. But within those obstacles and challenges, I know how to navigate as much as possible. And if I don't know, I have a good circle of people around me that I can ask questions to. Now we got the internet. I could Google it if I need to. I try not to rely on that. I like to be old school and talk to people and get a feel for the do's and the don'ts. And then life is the best teacher. So those are my do's and don'ts as well.
That's beautiful. You know what's crazy? I'm like back to what we were saying about teachers don't know the big impact they have on kids. Like
Yeah.
the fact that you're in this, we're in 2020, and I don't know how old you are, but the fact that you remember that as a kid, like teachers don't understand that, and I feel like this is a point to the listeners. Like there's
Yeah.
gonna be people like these teachers in your ears. When you start seeing your art or whatever that is that you do get attention or grow bigger, the voices, those negative voices, will get louder. Like it's
Oh, yeah.
and it's gonna be people that you be like. That's why I say a lot that my dad did teach me a lot about like the way I carry myself in a sense, or like when it comes to confidence, and the fact that obviously we're human, we care about what people think, but there's a difference from caring to what people think, and there's like an extent to it. Like it might bother me for a little bit, like you said, at that moment in the class, for the moment, for the rest of the period, you were upset, but it didn't
Yeah.
stop you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I want people to know that it's like there's gonna be negative comments, but number one, look at who it's coming from. And you know, sometimes teachers, especially, we don't have the greatest in the district in a lot in LAUSD, and
Yeah.
sometimes they be mad that that's all they became. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
yeah.
Like, and it's like you're trying to ruin other people's whatever their passion is. And I feel like we're in a year where what you love to do is embrace now. And back in the day, it wasn't. It was like you better become a teacher, you better become a
Yeah.
dentist, a doctor, because that's the only way to get money and get out of the hood and actually be somebody in life.
That's
And
right.
now we embrace it more. And I think it's perfect to have you on so people can see, old school, new school. Same shit still applies. Like keep pushing,
Right.
even if people, because people are always gonna say have something to say, especially the people that ain't doing nothing or like
That's
not
right.
following their dreams. So it's like look at who's saying it, and don't forget what moves you and what your passion is. Because I can't believe, just hearing your story is crazy to
Uh-huh.
me, because I got to see a little bit of it growing up, and then we lost
Oh,
contact,
yeah.
and then I see you now, and I look at your art, and it is your art. It is so Eric Walker. Like I know it's your work, and it looks exactly the same, obviously better and bigger, right? Because I only knew a little bit when I see it. But
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about that, the growing process when you felt like, oh shit, this is getting real.
Well, I want to say this. I'm 47 years old now, so I mean I'm proud. I'm
Yeah.
47 strong, actually. 47
Oh, for
strong.
real? I'm like, you look the same.
Yep, I'm 47 strong. I don't smoke, no drinking, no smoking, no drinking, and when you really have a deep passion for something, you're gonna stick with it. I'm gonna answer your question. I want to say this though. When we was in LA Best, there was a student. I can't remember. I do remember, but I'm not gonna say his name.
Okay.
I remember it was his first day in the classroom. He comes in there with an attitude. He finds a place to go sit, and he slams his chair real hard on the ground. And I'm sitting at my desk, and I'm looking at him. So I said, "Hey, how you doing?" He said, "I don't want to be in this stupid class." I said, "What's wrong with you?" He said, "I don't want to be here. This is a dumb program." And he came to my desk, and I looked at him in his eye. I said, "Okay, where would you like to be? If you don't want to be in my class, where you want to be?" He said, "Man, I don't know. I just don't want to be here in this program." I said, "Well, what do you like to do?" He said, "I like to do graffiti art." When he said that, woo, I was like, and I didn't get excited. I was real cool and laid back still. I said, "Oh, for real?" He said, "Yeah." I said, man, I'll make you a deal. If you just cooperate with me today and don't give me a hard time, don't be slamming no more chairs, just be cool. If you do that today, I promise you tomorrow, I'll bring my graffiti art to show you what I do. He said to me, "You not a graffiti artist, you a teacher." I said, "Why I'm not a graffiti artist?" He said, "Cause you here teaching."
Uh-huh.
I said, "Oh," I said, "Man, if you act right, you'll see what I do, right?" He acted right. The next day I bought my book and I showed him. Man, that kid, ever since that day, he didn't give me no problem. He actually became my assistant in the classroom. He was helping me to keep kids in order. He was helping me to pass out the materials. He was, man, that dude was, he became a good guy. And I changed his life around, you know, and he told me when he graduated from the elementary school, he came back. Actually, he was coming on the campus when he wasn't even supposed to be on the campus,
Yeah.
just to come and check on me. And me and him had something in common. See, that's the problem. A lot of teachers
Well,
can't connect with the students. So when they can't connect with the students and show similarities,
yeah.
then the student becomes detached
Yep.
from what they feel could be possible. And so I showed them, or not just him, but I showed a lot of people, man, it's possible, you know. So it's a trip.
Sometimes as like teachers, they think, because teachers always give that persona, like I'm a teacher and that's all I am and you got to do what I say. But when
Yeah.
that's, I love what you said, relatable. Like if the kid don't like you, the kid's not going to listen to you. And I feel like that's what I learned too, that I was so real and I was so chill. Like, look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm uptighty. No, I'm coming here from 2 to 6. This is what's going to happen. We're going to follow the rules. I'm not Miss Perfect and we're going to have fun. And
Yeah.
just keeping it real with the kids see that, you know. If you can trust anybody, trust kids. Kids are the realest. Kids will tell you the truth. Kids are innocent and they'll
Uh,
trust you if you keep it real with them too, you know, at that age, the elementary age.
Before I came to work one day, I was going through a lot of internal things that I was dealing with because I had some outside things happening before I got to work. So when I got to
Be like
work,
that.
yeah, I was upset. I was on one. I was on 8 of them, right?
Yeah.
And I got there, I was so mad. I was like, man. But it was before the bell rang for the students to come with me. Now watch this. And I went in there and I spoke, and a lot of the adults didn't speak back. So that made me feel even more angry
Or,
on the
yeah.
inside. Like, man, what's wrong with people, man? People don't know how to be cool no more. Watch this. When the bell rung and I went outside and the students started lining up, I remember it was a second grade or a third grader. She ran up to me and she came out of nowhere. She ran as fast as she can and gave me a hug. Real true story. And she said, "Mr. Walker, you the best. Thank you." She said, "You the greatest artist on the planet." Man, my eyes got watery. I looked at her and that reminded me, like, man, you know
Like
what?
no
You
time.
are somebody, man. Don't trip off of everything else. This one young person who haven't been on the planet that long told me that I am somebody and I'm great. So it's important that we listen to the young people sometime and take the valuable words and the lessons. And I'll never forget that. I said, damn.
A lot of things go on in our personal life
Yeah.
and I could show up and I'd be pissed or something, but the moment the bell would ring, like my whole like whoosh, like it'd be a
Oh,
whole different vibe. I'd forget my problems and I'm like, all right, I'm Miss Vanessa or I'm Miss Hernandez when the bell rang, and that made me feel so different and just like they have nothing to do with it.
yeah.
And we also, people don't know, like kids are so, I don't know, kids are great, and it would just be a whole mood changer and remind you, the way they see you would remind you that you got to keep pushing.
See, that's the realness. So when you ask me that question, when did things become real? Things always actually been real throughout the journey. It's at different levels. My career, you know, when I didn't want a regular 9 to 5, when I just said to myself, man, I just want to just do this. When I was young, I just wanted to do this for a living. This is when I was talking about young. But now watch this. Truth be told, when I was teaching at the program, man, I taught for 5 years straight. So after that 5 years, my energy and spirit started to deplete. And I was like, man, this is burning me out spiritually, mentally, and physically. Even though I love to do it, I just felt like nobody was respecting what I was bringing to the table.
No, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
remember it was a gloomy, rainy day, and I was sitting in the car. way before it was time for me to go to the program that day. I was trying to debate, man, should I keep doing this or should I just go ahead and believe in myself? This was in 2006. See, because I always was independent doing my thing before I go teach. But this is where I went full-fledged to where I did this 24/7, where I just really believed in myself and said, I'm going all out. See, for all you listeners out there, you have to believe in yourself, man. You have to really know that you are somebody, you got something to offer, and you got to find your purpose in life. I knew my purpose at an early age. My purpose was to come to this planet and be creative and make this world beautiful with my art. So it's always been real. That day I took that step. I remember I called in. They were like, "Oh, Mr. Walker, you coming to work today?" I
Oh,
said, "No, I'm not coming today. I'm going to be honest." They said, "Everything all right?" I said, "I'm not quitting. I'm just going to take a break." I said, "Because I'm not a quitter." They was like, "Well, you sure? We got another position for you and it's going to pay more money." I said, "No, I'm not worried about that." I said, "You could get that position to somebody else." And I never came back. And that was it. And I, from 2006 all the way to 2020, 14 years, full-fledged, just waking up in the morning, treating everything like a business, making follow-up phone calls, going out there networking, meeting new people, not being afraid to talk to different nationalities of people, not being intimidated by people with degrees in these corporate buildings, me walking in there with confidence. I'm not going in there like this, though. Excuse me, when I walk in there, I had to have a long sleeve dress shirt on, some nice little, I'd be suited and booted basically when I walk up in there. And, you know, in order to get respect, you got to present yourself in a respectable manner. I couldn't go in there talking my, yo, what's up? I had to go in there and talk appropriately. I had to look them in the eye. I had to be confident. See, because that's cool that those people got their degrees, but that don't make me feel inferior to them. I don't feel belittled by them because see, their degree is only for what they specialize in. My degree didn't come from the school, even though I finished college, but my degree come from the world, the streets. I'm validated by that. I'm validated by my own existence. So I don't need a certificate or a degree or a receipt to prove that I'm relevant in today's time in society.
yeah.
That's deep, huh?
Yeah, I'm like, and it's crazy because now I feel like now, and that's harder because I feel like back in the day, it was just that. Like, either you're in school or you're not. And if you're not in school, people look down on you.
You're like
And
you're a
it's like,
failure. Yeah,
yeah, so it's like I even respect that more because now I feel like I really, just to keep it honest, and maybe because I know I was in college, I haven't finished college, but because I knew the people that were there and the people that have gotten their degrees, and I'm like, what's the difference between me and you? Like, it's really not like, so now I'm like, I'm more upfront about it. Like, okay, you got a degree, that's real nice. Like, make it do what it do with your degree. That's cool. But I feel like back in the day, it was more like, oh, you don't have a degree, like we're gonna look down on you like you're not shit. So
yeah,
that's what's crazy to me, that it's like it's even harder. Like you said, you have to be the part and you have to pull up and look at these people, and it's really hard because I remember growing up around our neighborhood, there's not really white people. And what
yeah.
we know about white people is that all of them is successful, or they got family that they could rely on that are successful.
Correct.
And I remember that the fact that you talk about not being intimidated to talk to other, race or ethnicities, whatever.
Yeah,
I feel like we're in a melting pot here in LA for sure. But I didn't really start talking to white people like that till I got my job as a server. And what was crazy is like it shouldn't be like that, but you thought
yeah,
because they were white, like, oh,
yeah.
you felt some kind of way, like, oh, and then you talk to them, you're like, there ain't nothing different. Like, there's really not, like, and some of them don't even go to school or have degrees. You just
Oh
assume
yeah,
they all got
yeah,
degrees. And then
yeah,
just like you said, just feeling that, like, just being yourself in the room, don't matter who in the room, what color they are, like, you just being yourself and knowing that you bring something to the table. You can bring whatever y'all want to the table, but this is what I bring to the table, and just being confident about that, no matter if you don't look like nobody or intimidated about who's in the room.
right.
I,
I'm
I,
in
I
agreement with you.
respect you though, because it's harder back in the day because it was more like labels, and now everybody's just waking up and realizing shit. But I give you a lot of credit for just being so passionate and confident in the air. Like, and back in the days, it was not that easy.
Now watch this. Everything you said is the 100% true. To this day, I'm self-independent. I get up every day, make phone calls, send out emails. I go meet with clients. Now that the situation in the world is happening with this COVID. We got to do Zoom. But watch this. Um, it's interesting because I still have to deal with people, and some people, man, they still haven't learned. Like some people are in a position to make things happen and to open up doors for people. You know, there's two sides to the coin for me. There's time where um there's opportunities where I try to get in there to make things happen, but for some reason you could feel there is racism that still exists in that equation. True story. And some people will say, "Oh no, it don't have nothing to do with that." I'm like, man, please, like
You could feel
you know when you could feel
it.
it.
Feel that, yeah.
You could feel it. You could feel the negativity. Now, flip side of that, there's doors that open for me that are very great to where I have to ride the wave and treat it very well, because if I don't, it could cause a backlash for other people who's trying to get within that same lane. I've opened up the door for so many people that where I come from to where maybe they may not. I've been put like this. I'm not gonna take it to the head like I'm all that, because God makes those opportunities available for me, right? So when those opportunities are available for me, what happens is that if whoever organization, whatever company, say, hey, you're more than welcome to bring 3 or 4 other artists with you. What do? I try to reach back to where I come from and pick reliable people that I can count on, that ain't gonna make me look bad, that I know that could do the work and that they on point, and I'll bring them along. But the objective, folks, is when you make it to a certain level in your life, try your best to go pull somebody else up to help them to get that experience. You know, don't be selfish. It's a lot of people who make it to a certain level and they don't give back. They
And there's
don't reach
room for
back.
everybody. There's room for everybody. Like
Yep,
back to what you're saying, what you give is what God gave you. And if
that's
you
right.
feel that, like if you feel that, it's like what God gave me, I already got. Why I gotta be stingy about it if somebody else has it or there's an opportunity? Or sometimes people are afraid of that, like that someone's gonna take that from them. It's like God already gave you your gift. You're doing your part, and if you're able to help somebody else that got something else to give, what's the problem? Like if you
Yep.
got it, you got it. No one can take that from you. And I
Oh,
feel
yeah,
like
'cause you got a particular flavor. Like I got a particular flavor. Now there will be somebody who might be able to do it a little bit better than me. That's all good. But for some reason the way I finesse it is a little different from the next one.
of course.
So I have to nurture it. I have to develop it. But the objective is to never get stuck in your comfort zone and don't grow. So as an artist or as a person, I have to keep on growing. I have to keep on pushing. I have to keep developing. There's two kinds of people in this world. There's people who wait for things to happen, and there's people who make things happen.
Uh-huh.
So see, I'm proud of you. Look, you got your own podcast show. You know what I'm saying? So you didn't. Nobody said, "Hey, do you want?" I don't. Maybe they did. I don't know. But I got a feeling you had ambition. Like, man, I'm gonna do my show because I could tell you got that
Yeah.
fire in you, that attitude. Like, I'm gonna do this.
But for
You know what
long,
I'm saying?
like you said, I didn't have that for long. I thought someone was gonna come to my door and be like, you know what, you dope, come on my show. Like that mentality for I'm not gonna lie, because I knew that I wanted to do radio, right? Like I'm like, oh, I
Yeah.
want to be on radio. I'm gonna apply, and if they want me, they're gonna call me. And it wasn't until like it started hitting me like, girl, ain't nobody calling you. Like nobody knows who you are, nobody knows about you. So I felt like, okay, well, I have to let people know who I am. And I feel like when podcasting came, I'm not gonna lie to you, it made me feel so relieved. Like the fact that I can do it from my home, the fact that I don't have to go through an interview or look at somebody and make them believe in me. Like, listen, this is why you got to hire me. Like the fact that I didn't have to do that, which eventually my brand will speak for itself, where people will be like, you know what, because you did that, we already know what you are. Now we're coming to you. We need you, or we want you. You know what I'm saying? But just podcasting, it means more to me because I want to do radio. I've been wanting to do radio, but I really fuck with this. Like I fuck with my
Yeah.
own show. Like it's my own rules. It's my own show. If you don't want to, you don't have to listen. You don't turn on the radio and I'm there and you got to listen to me if you don't like, you know what I'm saying? Like you only come listen to me if you fuck with me. And I like that. I like that people have that choice. So yeah, I would used to wait. I used to think like that, like someone's gonna come to my door. And not to say I've met people and people have helped me and given me pointers, but the whole creating the podcast was me. Like I had to do it on my own. I had to do my little setups. I had to Google and YouTube. Luckily in this age, we could Google and YouTube anything and it's there. And I learned how to do all this that I have going on because of that. Like self-taught, but also YouTube and Google taught me. So you're right
I
though.
like your little setup. I like the blue and the light blue, and you got the blue background.
You know what's crazy though? This little sign, the Real Ratchet and Reckless, I thought it was so crazy because me and my mom were talking about your work. And I'm like, I kind of felt, because, it's hard to see that old school work still. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's
Uh-huh.
rare. Like, it's there, but it's not like, the fact that you come from like 90s and 80s and all that, like, you grew up in this era where graffiti was art and where people would get in trouble for it. And I remember my dad, my parents went to manual arts. Like, it was a whole thing. Like, you was a shit if you know how to write up and write on the walls. You know what I'm saying? It was a
Oh
thing.
yeah,
You get in trouble for it. But I remember that I wanted my logo to be graffiti. And I ain't
uh-huh.
judging. I love my logo. It has done a lot for me. I love it. But when I saw your art, I'm like, fuck, this is what I wanted. Like, this is what I wanted my logo to be, graffiti art. And me and my mom were talking about it. She's like, hit him up. I'm sure he wouldn't mind. But I really do plan to redo my logo. But the colors, I love blue. I love
Yeah,
pink and shit, but I'm like, blue, it makes a bolder statement. And I know I'm a little bold. So I'm like, I have to throw some blue and purple and, have some black on the corner, like the dark.
yeah.
But thank you.
That
I
look fresh
appreciate
to
you.
me.
I
I
like
like that.
it. It has a little drip. I like it, but I definitely love the graffiti style, and I feel
Yeah.
like it's in the cultures in my community, and I feel like that's what I wanted. But
Okay.
on the other logo I have like a brick wall, and that one looks like it's sprayed. Also, I have another logo, and it looks like it's sprayed on the wall. But that was my whole vision in the beginning. But I just feel like your art is a reminder of our community, like a reminder, and I feel like you're doing it, and I'm happy to see it. And just another question I wanted to ask, like just around the art. So you talk about how you're like, what, I want to do this 9 to 5. And you talk about how you started treating it as your business. That's hard. That is very hard because right now with COVID, I have not returned back to my job. And I'm getting this time that I've never had. So I'm producing more content, but I know I can do better. I know I'm not treating it like a 9 to 5. So what
Yeah.
would, and it's not that I don't know, but it's just like getting out of that comfort zone. Like, I'm at home, I'm chilling, I'll hop on the mic, I'll post on Instagram. But like you said, it's hard to network and meet up when COVID is going on. So what if you, I don't even know if you have the answer, I'm not saying you do, but what would your advice be treating it like a 9 to 5 with the time, but the restrictions we have right now with COVID?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna keep it 100. I wasn't never really into the computer or social media. Yeah, even though I be on there, I've always been the kind of person, like, if it ain't face to face, like where I could see people in front of me,
Interact.
I've always been resistant. But real talk, when it did hit, COVID hit, my mindset had to change. Either I was going to get crushed in the sense of I wasn't going to succeed, or I had to hurry up and regroup and re-strategize my moves. And I had to start using social media and all these other platforms as a way to get to my audience still. And it's been working. I'm not gonna say it's been working real good, but I'm not gonna say it's been working
You
bad.
you gotta know
It's
how to
it's
work
all
it.
in how you drive and navigate
Hard.
it. And I think I've been doing good, but I know I could do even better. I have some ideas and visions that I'm gonna put into effect. So the objective is, don't just talk about it. Now I'm gonna have to be about it. I'm gonna have to talk the talk, then walk the walk, and just don't be afraid to take a gamble at what you believe in and what you stand for and what you represent. I'm old school to the point where I don't like to do certain things. I become stubborn to a degree. And I learned that, and I realized sometimes you can't do everything by yourself. You might
Oh,
need to
yeah.
have a team. But then some people say if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself.
Yeah.
So you got to know
A
how
balance.
to network with people. Yeah, balance. And then there's certain people that you can utilize for certain things, but you have to give it balance. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's things that I will have to do on my own. There's things where maybe I might reach out to somebody who specializes in something that I don't do.
One of my last questions is, what what would you tell the people? Because you've been doing this for so long that you are the perfect person to ask. What would you tell the people like me or my and around my age or people that are just like me, don't matter what the age is, that are just starting to finally realize that what they got and they got to execute and keep pushing and they want to reach their goals? Like, because I feel like you have time on it. And I feel like sometimes, especially with the young generation, like we get impatient and I've accepted that everything I'm trying to do is minimum. If I'm gonna do it right, I'm thinking 5-6 years. There's people talking about 10 years. You know what I'm saying? And you have the perfect timeline for that. And a lot of people forget that it takes time for something good to grow. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like you are a perfect example of that because you never gave up. And it's like time is what you need to give it. And as long as you're working, the dream will work. So, what would your advice be along the journey of just this all these years that pass? Like, what is your advice to just in matters of just pushing to make it pay off and make it a 9 to 5?
Well, for those of you who watching this, to push your dreams and make it become reality and to where you could do this, you have to be able to really believe. Now that sounds so simple, like, oh, just believe. Yeah, we believe, but you gotta really want it. You gotta keep pushing, man. You're gonna hit a lot of stumbling blocks. You're gonna make a lot of mistakes. Sometimes it's gonna be some smooth rides too, where things just gonna be going good. But you gotta be prepared for when it go bad. Right now I could go paint in the weather because the sun is out. But what's gonna happen when it start pouring down raining? See, I have to be ready of what's gonna be next on my plate. Cause when the weather switches up, or if we have to stay in the house and we nobody could be on the streets, what would I do? Would I be sitting in my room pouting with my lip poked out? Will I be having nervous breakdown? Will I be tripping out like, oh my God, what I'm gonna do? You got to plan today for your tomorrow. If you plan today for tomorrow, things gonna work. Try to make good calculated decisions. Think about your moves very precisely as much as possible. Write out your ideas, but act upon them. Because what'll end up happening is that in order for you to be successful in doing this as 9 to 5, your mindset has to change. You have to discipline yourself. You have to program yourself on a daily basis to do A, B, C all the way through Z. That's the only way it's gonna happen. I mean, I didn't have so many smooth rides at times where, man, it feels so great when you deal with clients that fly you to different places, that pay for this and that. You can have a business meeting and they pay for your lunch, and I mean that's cool. But I ain't worried about I'm trying to get the big deal and lock and seal the deal. A lot of people who watching this, you guys may not be an artist, but don't worry about the art part. Pay attention to the other details about the determination, about having passion, about being consistent, persistent, and staying on top of it and being strong-minded. They say if you hang around 6 winners, you bound to be the 7th winner. If you hang around 5 losers, you bound to be the 6th loser. So you are who you surround yourself with,
Environment.
who you congregate with. If you want to be successful, you must hang around successful people. And also, don't be disappointed. There'll be a lot of family members who may not see your vision, and they're going to try to bring you down and say that's not going to work. To this day, I do art from 9 to 5, like 24/7. There's people say, true story. My parents sometimes say, son, please go get you a regular 9 to 5. Go get a regular job and do your art as a hobby. I'm like, man, damn. Like, why do they tell me that? I'm like, why they can't say at the least, go work at an art firm or a design firm. Go work for a company that paint this and this and that. Because sometimes if people don't understand what it is that you're trying to do and they don't understand the greatness of it, they can't say nothing. Because the only thing they could do is tell you what they think of maybe could go wrong. But I believe in what I do. The main thing is to have some knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. If you have knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, some of that stuff right there is superficial. It comes and goes. So you need something stable to stand on. Because a lot of people who thought they was doing something, they become a one-hit wonder. They special today, but they forgotten tomorrow. So my advice is you better do something that's going to give you some longevity. I repeat to all you listeners, do something that's going to give you longevity, something that's going to really put you on the map. Whatever that's going to be, that's up to you. But you got to think about your moves, think about your future, You know, some of you on here, I don't know the age group of your audience, but if you're young and you might get married one day, you might have kids, so you got to be able to think, what is it gonna be like when you have a family, or you have a husband, or you might be single all your life. How you gonna handle like that? See, because some people is married to their career and they don't have time for nothing else, and all they do is work, 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 work. But all work and no play ain't good. So you got to work hard, play hard. You got to be able to navigate both of those and enjoy life. You don't want to work every day, all day just to pay bills. You want to work to enjoy your life. Money ain't nothing but a trading tool for you to do the things you like to do. Don't put money above your well-being as a person. Even though we need it, trust me, I don't got it like that, like I'm balling, because I ain't like that. But I know one thing, man, I enjoy life. I can't ask for nothing else. I could describe my life in 2 words: creative and adventurous. It's 2 words: creative and adventurous. I like to see things. I like to travel. When you able to do what you do, it makes you feel alive. It gives you purpose. It makes you feel complete. I know people that didn't get a chance to fulfill what they wanted to do, and guess what? They miserable.
Yep. And those are the people telling you you can't do it.
Round of
That
applause.
was beautiful. That
You
was
won $1 million for
good.
getting it just like that. Yeah.
That was amazing, Mr. Walker. I'm so happy. I feel like my podcast definitely, I feel like it's always me. Like if I be a little bit motivational, like it'll just be me, but it's like,
Yeah.
you got to need other people's perspective. I'm so happy to bring someone from the old school. I'm always talking about old school. My parents are old school and I feel like I am the way I am because of them. And I love that in a sense. I'm not an old soul, but I'm at the age where I respect old school so much, and you have people my age that don't. And it's
Yeah.
like, y'all should. Like, there's good shit lying in old school, and people sometimes forget it or don't appreciate it. So I'm happy that I got to bring some of that onto the podcast. And I'm just happy that you're here and how this turned out. And your words are very moving, very touching. I'm over here listening like a student. I felt like a student again. I'm like, you're right, you're right. So I wanted to,
It took you back in time, huh?
yeah, and then just like that, my dad is always also pushy. Like, he's always like, don't care what nobody says, worry about you, worry about you, worry about you. But just hearing another voice in like that style and that flavor, it makes me feel so good in it. And it reminds me, because I know I'm younger. So you're still like a teacher in a sense, like you're pushing me, what teachers should
That's
be
right.
doing. So I appreciate that. And I'm sure the listeners are going to love this. And I can't wait for people to hear this. Do you feel like there's anything you want to say that I didn't get to ask or you didn't get to share?
I just want to say for all the listeners before we go, once again, believe in yourself. But with freedom come big responsibility. If I was at a regular 9 to 5, I wouldn't be able to do this right now. A lot of people want to live like this. Work smarter, not harder. See,
Mhm.
work smarter, not harder. So you could be grinding all day and night, and it still don't equal out to nothing. So you really want to be very precautious at
Effective.
what you indulge in. Yep.
All
So
right.
that's what's up.
Okay. All right, Mr. Walker, where can the listeners find you? Where can they see more about you, hear more about you?
On Instagram at King King underscore CRE8 at King_create. Hey, hit me up on there. I do logos, do the back of jean jackets. I do custom artwork. I do artwork on anything. If you want stuff as custom gifts, hit me up. If you know other people who need my services, hit me up. I do private art lessons. You name it, creative, pretty much I do. Y'all hit me up.
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming on, guys. Don't forget, this is your girl Nessa Nanas on the Real, the Ratchet, and the Reckless. Don't forget to follow me Nessa Nanas _ on Instagram. And please don't forget to let your mama know, your tia know that the Real, Ratchet, and Reckless is where it's at. I'm signing out.
That's right.